Welcome to the Date Forever podcast. Keep your relationship fueled up with strategies discovered by couples and experts. Because at Fuel Collective, we believe better relationships will equal a better world. You are about to discover specific insights and tools that cost little or nothing to implement to help you date forever. And now, here are your hosts, a couple who always have a half-packed suitcase and a date night in the calendar, Sammy and Nathan Yeager.
In today's episode, we're chatting about finding and discovering your own sense of self and then bringing that authentically to a relationship. Chrissy and Karen share about their own journeys of self-discovery and how they have merged them to create a grand vision for their life together. Now let's get into it. Hello and welcome to a brand new week of Date Forever. To get started, I just wanted to ask, what's been fueling you up this week, Sammy?
This past week, I've had a really strong focus on refueling myself. I started a 30-day yoga challenge. So I'm doing 30 minutes of yoga for 30 consecutive days, and I'm a little over a week in.
So how are you feeling about that?
It has been a little bit challenging working around class times, but I've also really enjoyed having to be somewhere at a certain time for the class. And my body's been feeling really good, and I think my sleep's been a little bit better. But yeah, I'm really enjoying just reconnecting with myself. It's something that I used to love and spend a lot of time doing, and I haven't had a consistent practice for a few years now. So it's been really nice to, refuel myself by spending some time on the mat.
Sounds like you've made a pretty good start at it.
Yeah, 20-something days to go. And what's been fueling you up this week, Nate?
So for me, we've made a really great start at one of our goals, which is to have 24 dates for the year. 24 real deliberate dates, I guess. Half of them are organised by me and half of them are organised by Sammy. So we had a really nice date, going on a hike to a waterfall and then heading to the beach for the afternoon and having some time to really reconnect with each other and to, spend some quality time together.
So our romantic relationship is feeling fueled up?
It certainly is.
Nath, do you want to talk for a minute about how we're planning those 24 dates?
Yeah, so the way that we've set it up is that we'll do 2 dates a month, so one in the first half of the month and one in the second half of the month. And then I will organise the date that's in the first half of the month, and then Sammy will organise the date that's in the second half of the month. So it doesn't need to be anything big or massive. We've brainstormed a hope of ideas that are either no cost, low cost, medium cost, or high cost so that we can choose something that aligns with that or find something else that we're really excited to do together and then plan the date and invite the other person to it.
Yeah, I think one of the key things that we found that works really well for us is having the date ideas in a shared place. So rather than just having, the default kind of let's go for dinner, that we've actually brainstormed a really big list of potential dates and that we've both got transparency over that list so that if inspiration's running a little dry, we've got somewhere to go. So we would love to hear from all of you about how you do your dates. Do you take it in turns? Do you do it a bit more ad hoc? Jump on over to the Thriving Couples Collective Facebook group and we would love to hear or maybe even share a photo from your most recent date. Welcome to the Date Forever podcast, everyone. Today we've got Karen and Chrissy joining us. Chrissy is the second youngest child in a family of 12. So growing up with so much noise surrounding her, she had to find her own voice and forge her own path. Chrissy is the owner of Sequin Consulting and is on a mission to help others identify their true voice to live an authentic and unapologetic life so that they can live life on their terms. Karen grew up in a conservative family in Brazil, and in 2007, she moved to Australia by herself with $1,600, speaking only very basic English. Karen is a qualified personal trainer with a love of nature, animals, freedom, coffee, and has been on the personal development journey for the past 10 years. She's on a mission to share her knowledge and experience to help others to also take the courageous steps towards living the life of their dreams. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us on here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No worries. So how did the two of you meet and what's your relationship story?
This is always a fun question to ask because
we met on Tinder.
Yeah, we are a successful Tinder story.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because Chrissy was asking me a few questions and I was asking her questions, and then we had so many things in common. And then I realized that my age wasn't correctly on Facebook, like on my Tinder profile. So I was like, oh, by the way, I'm not 29, I'm 35. So it was a fun start, I guess.
At the beginning, I was like, oh my goodness, she's 7 years older than me. And then it was like, oh my God, she's 12 years older than me. This is so much more. But it's turned out great. It's really turned out great.
How has that age gap or age difference shown up in your relationship? Has it been something you've had to navigate?
Not really. Because a lot of the time they'll say, if someone's older, they might slow you down. But, Karen's pretty fit in herself. I think sometimes I'm trying to catch up to her, that it's like the age in itself is nothing. It's worked for us in our lifestyle, and it hasn't actually proven to have any issues, I've found.
I've just learned how to laugh at Chrissy's jokes. She likes joking about it. It's all good. I think age is just a number, honestly. And when you understand each other, when you love each other, then it doesn't make any difference at all.
I love that. And also, it's kind of funny because maybe that was a fate thing. Because if you'd had that age set at the correct age, maybe you wouldn't have shown up for each other in that app. So it's kind of nice, right?
That's actually, you're actually on point, Sammy, because the limit was at 30. So if hers was correct, we never would have connected. So it all turned out perfectly.
One of those things. So when was that fateful right swipe?
The 25th of September, 2017. I remember it because it's my nephew's birthday. So that's the only reason I remember the swipe, that I was like, okay, that was Oscar's birthday.
Oh, that's cool. So you've been dating for a few years now?
Yeah, so it's just been just under 3.5 years.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. So I know that the two of you are big on personal development. For everybody's context, both Nath and I and Chrissy and Karen both recently attended Date with Destiny with Tony Robbins, which is a pretty intensive 6-day, 15, 18 hour a day, deep dive into, your core of your being. The four of us all attended this conference and we haven't actually talked about it. So this is kind of cool. So I know that you're both into this space and into this journey. Can you tell us a little bit about how that event particularly has had an impact over the last few weeks?
I felt it was amazing and it was intense and it was life-changing. But for the first week, I was kind of like on the clouds. I wasn't feeling normal. It's just my mind integrating everything. And I think I'm still kind of integrating things.
It was really amazing to be able to share that. So we had our first event together with UPW last year. And for me, that was like my first introduction to Tony Robbins. Karen, since meeting Karen, she's the one who actually introduced me to, the in-depth parts of Tony Robbins and whatnot. But that was amazing. And it was so good to really connect with our purpose, to connect with our mission, to, get really clear again on our values, what's important, what are the things that we need to be focusing on to get where we want to be. And we've set some pretty hefty goals for 2021. So it's like just that mental preparation of, okay, this is going to be quite a journey. So who do we need to be and how do we show up as individuals and as a couple and what's going to move us forward? So it was an intense 6 days, but, we definitely had a ball doing it and dancing around the place, making it fun. As, we know Tony loves to dance every 30 to 40 minutes or so. We definitely had a ball doing it, that's for sure.
So as we kind of heard in both of your respective intros, that you're both pretty passionate about living, a life that's truly aligned with who you are and who you want to be. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and what that, realization or journey looked like for the two of you? Maybe Karen, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I think for me, living back home, I couldn't quite be myself. With so much noise, it's so much expectation from like our parents, our family. And then I decided I needed a change and I needed to change my environment. So I was like, okay, where can I go? And I was like, I might go to the other side of the world, spend some time there. So I came to Australia in 2007 to actually spend 6 months or 1 year maximum. Yeah. And I had a 3.5 months visa. And then the rest is just history because, I came here and I overcame so many challenges and I started finding who I am and what I wanted and what I didn't want and the kind of people that I wanted in my life. And it was like a self-discovery journey and it was challenging, but it was exciting at the same time. I took a lot of time by myself, having no family here. Like I made friends who became my family, but I always took a lot of time of solitude to go. I usually would go to the beach and just sit there for, an hour, 2, 3 hours and just contemplate life and just really, let my intuition talk to me and tell me the next steps, because life was very uncertain before, and it still is. Like, look at what 2020 is being, a very crazy year for everybody. So it's about allowing things to flow and try to listen to our inner guidance. And because there's so much noise out there. And I think for me, I was dating men until I was 30 years old, and then I decided that I wanted to be with girls. So that was a challenge for me as well. It took me like about 6 months to accept myself. There was that internal battle in my mind, like, this is not right. Why am I doing this? And like, growing up in a Catholic family was challenging as well for me to accept myself. So I understand when other people don't understand. I'm like, it's okay. I get it. They don't need to understand, because it took me a while to accept myself as well. So life is a journey, and it's like a roller coaster, right?
That's a big part of the reason that we called the show the Date Forever podcast. It's really about dating both yourself and your special someone forever. So that's a pretty big thing to kind of realize as you've gone inwards and started asking yourself like who you are and what you want to be and where you want to go in life.
Yeah, I guess sometimes we just don't know the next steps, right? It's like there's so many options out there. It's easy for other people to give advice, or it's easy for us to give advice to someone else. But when you are the person who needs to make the decision, sometimes you can feel a bit stuck. And I felt a bit stuck from time to time. But it's a matter of, making a decision, going for it, believing yourself, believing and trusting that the universe is things are working out for us. And just be true to ourselves, I guess. Sometimes it's challenging and sometimes it's just easy. Like, it's life. Like it's, I think, for everybody.
So, Chrissy, can you tell us a little bit about your personal development journey then too?
So, like, as Sammy mentioned in the introduction, I grew up in a family of 12 kids. So I had to find my own voice at an early age because, like, obviously when you're surrounded by other people, you'll kind of just jump on the bandwagon of what other people want. And then you might find yourself saying, like, why am I doing this? Or how did I get here? Because you just followed everyone else. It was like you just become like a sheep. And I realized that that's exactly how I was, even going into working in the corporate world. I found myself that just kind of, I found myself there, that it wasn't really a conscientious decision. And it kind of, for me, it was like, okay, what is important for me? What do I want? Like, who do I want to be? And I always knew, even just experiencing challenges growing up in a big family or just life in general, life happens to each of us. It's like, I had to find myself and ask the question of, okay, certain things have taken place. And in order for me to live my true life, I know that I want to be able to serve and give back. And I realized that there was so much more than just the daily 9-to-5 grind. I was like, okay, what's a way that I can live a life, be location free? That's one of the really great benefits I love about the coaching space is we can be here in Australia. We've got dreams of being in Brazil, in Colombia, and it doesn't matter where in the world we are, we can do this. And I know the two of you love traveling too, so that's a beautiful thing as well, traveling the world, being able to do these things. And it was about the time of going inwards, asking myself these questions. And funny thing is, Karen's the first woman that I've been in a relationship with. I knew from when I was a young girl that I liked girls, but once again, growing up in a Catholic family, it wasn't the go-to. And even to this day, my parents don't fully understand. Some of my siblings don't fully understand. And it's having that love and respect for each other. People don't need to fully understand because we get it. We understand our relationship. I understand what's important for me. And some people will never fully understand. And, what I've found is by me, like, having love and respect for other people's perspectives, they in return have done the exact same thing for me and for us. So rather than us saying, why don't you get it? Why don't you understand? It's just having that mutual love and respect. And just that in itself has been a beautiful game changer for us and has really helped and supported our relationship.
That's so beautiful. I love that. When people are concerned or worried or, questioning some of the choices that we're making, it's generally because they're coming from a place of love or that they want the best for us.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be a little bit misguided. But that acknowledging that it's from a positive intent is such a beautiful way to look at the world.
100%.
But I want to dig into something that you said. So you were working in corporate and you had this, something must have happened that you were like, oh, this probably isn't for me.
Yep.
Was there a straw that broke the camel's back?
So at my very first job, I'll quickly break it down into two different areas. So at first I was in collections And within like 3 or 4 years or so, I'd received like 3 promotions, and I was 22 years old, New South Wales state manager in this place. And we had a psychologist come into work because, there was a lot of us managers very challenged with, just the normal duties at work and working in collections, speaking to a lot of our customers who were enduring some challenges. So our managing director was like, in order for our team to look after our customers, we need to make sure our team are looked after. So they brought in an external psychologist who came, and we had some, just some a group setting environment where she went through certain things with us. And that was like one of the key parts for me to really step into my authentic and true self. This was, 2016, 17. And it was from that of really internally exploring that it was like, okay, what's actually true and right for me? So that's when I ended a relationship with a male. And when I realized that that particular work was no longer serving me. So one of the things was letting go of things that were not divinely designed for you. And that was like, wow, I love this job and I've been here for 4 years, but it's just not right for me anymore. So then it opened up a new opportunity, which once again, within maybe a 5-month period, I received 2 promotions. So one as a senior and one as a team leader. And after a couple of years of doing that, I was like, there was this niggle in me that was like, I love what I'm doing and I love my team, but there's so much more. And as I kind of grew, and as Karen and I, we went to Tony Robbins and whatnot, that opened the doorway. And then I was introduced to this thing called coaching. I didn't even know what coaching was. And then it was like, wow, this is actually really cool. And that was a big thing for me, because I was like, okay, this makes sense of that little niggle that I was receiving, that I'm like, there's ways that I can serve and give back and be working with people and contributing all at once. And it was like, working in a job that was really good, but I was like, what's my sole purpose in this? And, me selling fuel, because I was working within Caltex, so selling fuel in thousands and millions of liters, I was like, this isn't it. So, these opportunities opened up, and there was that realization that it was like, wow, I'm in my comfort zone. Like, it was a challenge in itself, but I was like, this is my comfort zone. So it was like stepping outside of that.
I love that. So you've both been on your own respective journeys of like figuring out there's got to be more.
Massively.
Yeah, for sure. I'm an accountant and I never liked being an accountant. And then I decided to pursue my passion a few years ago and I became a qualified personal trainer. I work at the gym and I loved it, but still I wasn't fulfilled. I wanted more. And since we met, Chris and I found out that one of our dreams is to travel the world, helping people and making a difference. So it was just about finding the right vehicle to allow us to do that, to pursue our dream and to, be ourselves and be free and breathe and travel and do our mission, which we want to make a difference. We want to make, people realize their potential and live a life that is true to themselves. So coaching spaces was just perfect for us.
Yeah. So it sounds like as individuals, you've both tuned into yourself and you know what you want in your life and where you want to be going. So how do you then draw that back into a relationship and together work out where you're going?
I would say, look, we've got our one-on-one coaching individually. So that's where I work with my clients. Karen works with hers. But then we've also come together and, we're running Unapologetic, our 6-week course. But that was where it was like, Karen is a bit quieter than me. She's more reserved. She's very methodical. I'm not methodical at all. I just kind of roll with it and I fire it. Very, high and energetic and whatnot. So we realized that we really complement each other. So by coming in and doing that 6-week course together was like, okay, this is a great way we can work with people, share our stories, share a bunch of the things that we've learned over the last years on personal development. But then it's also the realization that I think it could just simply be by chance that I loved South America. Karen's from Brazil. I'd always wanted to do work in South America anyway, and Karen's very passionate about that too. So it's like it just kind of all came together in one, that it's, while she's able to pursue her mission and I'm able to pursue mine, and we bring that together as well by impacting people together in a group course if they feel more inclined to do that, or whether they do one-on-ones with us, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. So we just, I don't know, it kind of just has bundled up in that way and worked out perfectly.
Yeah, I love that. So one of the things that Nathan and I talk about quite a bit in Fuel Collective and here on the Date Forever podcast is this idea of really loving life. And it's not kind of like that YOLO, like you only live once kind of life, but it's really about loving the life that you're living and living it by design. So I thought it was really interesting that the language that you used around finding the vehicle that's going to help you get to the intended outcome. Because I think, I know for my experience growing up, the thought of being a business owner or a freelancer or really working for myself hadn't really occurred to me until I quit my job and went and did it. And now that I look back on it, I'm like, well, why had I never considered that as an option before? Because, if I'd perhaps tapped into that idea sooner in my life, perhaps it would have been able to help me design a life that I really love a whole lot sooner. But it was more about that I had the idea and the vision of being able to work location agnostic, taking time off if and when I choose, being able to work those, flexible hours or agile hours. If I found mojo and rhythm, I love being able to work 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night because I don't want to stop the flow. But then, having the grace to give myself the morning to go, the weather is perfect, I'm going to go to the beach because I can. I love that. But I had never really considered that working for myself would give me that, which is probably on reflection now sounds crazy because of course, the only way you're going to get that kind of freedom is stepping into it for yourself. But for the two of you, how did you get to that place where you knew that you were both designing a life together and it wasn't the two of you with your respective dreams, that you've now brought them together into one shared vision?
It's been all very natural, I guess. Since when we first met, we had so many things in common. Yeah.
On our first date, we were talking about the plan to quit our jobs. So that's how our whole relationship started.
Yeah,
it was we're not fulfilled with what we're doing right now. We know there's more. And then it was just like, wow, you've got this fuel and you've got this fuel and this is epic. So that was like our very first conversation. I remember sitting in the restaurant and us actually talking about that. And it's funny because after 12 months of us being together, we were looking into doing property development. That was at first our vehicle, that it was like, okay, if we can do this with properties, that's going to allow us to make money so we can go and do work overseas. And then that didn't work out at all. That was actually quite a challenging time for us, especially a hefty financial decision that didn't work out well, which caused a bit of tension and stress. And then, when we came into coaching, it was like, wow, this is going to be something that's going to allow us to live our mission every single day, not just do the grind now with the hope that it's going to work out, because I find that's what a lot of people do, right? It's like you're playing the when game, you're running around in circles and circles and circles, hoping for everything to fall into place. Us being able to do this now, what was the decision for you? I remember Karen resigned from her job first, and then I was like, she's so courageous, I need to do it too. And then it was like, all right, let's do it. Are we ready to jump together? Let's make it happen. And we made it happen, which has been great.
So it sounds like you've definitely got a supporting network there between the two of you to be able to push each other further and faster.
Back each other up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's got to be like that, right? You've got to be each other's greatest supporter. There's going to be times, and look, here's the thing, there are times where Karen will do something and I don't get it, but I'm like, okay, how can I make sure I'm supportive? Because I need to be supportive of her as an individual, even if I wouldn't do it myself. So it's just taking a step back and having the humility to say, we are each individuals. And it's the same. I might do things and Karen's like, you're crazy. And I'm just like, it's all good, babe. It's going to work. And she's like, all right, I'm just going to support you. And that's it. And, being each other's greatest support, once again, we don't have to fully understand it, but it's like, okay, if I'm going to support you and love you and trust you to make that decision. And I'm sure the two of you would maybe the same as well, of saying, okay, I'm going to back you up. And if it doesn't work out the way we planned, that's all right. We'll roll with it and we'll make it work out. And that's the massive thing, being each other's greatest support is huge.
I like what you said, though, that you don't necessarily have to understand it. It's like, okay, you've got conviction, you're excited about it, you want to go and do this thing. Don't quite get it, but you've got my support.
That's it. But I've got you.
I always say, as long as it's not something reckless, I will always support you.
Yeah.
Hey, so I'd love to know, you've been together for a few years now. What are some of the things that the two of you do to keep your own relationship fueled up?
We love dancing around like crazy people. I would definitely say that's one big one. Just chucking the music on, getting crazy, having a good time.
We like being silly and joking around and playing music and just doing fun things and going out for coffee. And we love eating. So it's one of the best things about being together because we love going out to eat something.
Finding good, solid food, like that's a great part. We love to share
good
that.
food and coffee make us so happy. Like the simple things, and we love going to the beach and being adventurous and having our chase wine date nights, and like we did last night,
That's
like
delicious.
spontaneously. It was I think it was like
Perfect.
8 o'clock at night, and I was like, "Oh, babe, I feel like cheese," and she's like, "Oh, what a great idea!" She went to the shops, bought all these amazing
All
things.
the goodies.
That's
all the goodies, and it's we just try to be spontaneous. And
I love that. So, and then what are some of the practices that you have as individuals? Karen, you mentioned that you loved going to the beach and having that, solace alone time. Is that still a practice?
Oh yeah, definitely. We moved near the beach now, which is great. So like 2 minutes walk, we have the beach, and I feel really blessed to live here. So yeah, I go to the beach in the morning, go for a walk, or go for a run in the afternoon. And I love being in the sun, being outdoors. I play soccer as well, so I love exercising. I love going to the gym, and and sometimes I just go to a cafe by myself and have that time to myself. Go for a drive, see a friend. Yeah, it's so important for me. I really value having me time. Like I need my own time. Like even though I love Chrissy and I love spending time with her, but
She
sometimes
needs her time.
Sometimes I'm just like, I'm out. I'm going somewhere. Like, I'll see you later. Or if she packs her bag and goes somewhere, I'm like, I have the whole house for me and I have freedom. And, I can do whatever I want. I can play music loud. And it's just, I like being in my space as well and being just in my energy. I really need that.
I really love that too. I really resonate with that. And Sammy went away for the weekend a couple of weekends ago, and it was amazing having my own space and my own time. And I did a silent fist pump as well.
Well, honey, you want to go on a girls' weekend? No. I don't think he could get me out the door fast enough.
It's good. It's healthy,
what are
right?
some of yours? Are you different?
Mine are very similar. I do love going along, going for walks on my own, together we like it, but then on my own as well. Like I love also just going to a cafe, getting a coffee and just journaling, just writing whatever comes up. I've always enjoyed writing poems and raps and stuff as well. And I'm very musical. So even yesterday, Karen went out and it was the first time that I hooked up the piano since we moved here in October. And it was just so good to be in my zone that I was just like, I felt like I was just in heaven. I was like, wow, why haven't I done this? So definitely just, listening to tunes, writing my own songs, going for those walks, and especially calling my family, like, because there's so many too. And Karen's like, man, you're always talking to someone. But I'm like, there's 14 people that I need to catch up with frequently. So, that for me is quality time too. Like, even though it's not me on my own, but just having that connection with family, it's a real way for me to reset and, to get back in touch with me.
Hey, so this has been a really nice chat. Thank you for having us behind the curtains of your relationship. What I'd love to know is, if you could rewind back to the beginning of your relationship for couples that are in that stage now, is there a skill or a conversation that you would recommend couples have or work on?
In the beginning of a relationship, I would totally recommend just to be true to yourself. Just be honest. Just drop any masks that you have. Like when I said to Chrissy that I was 35 and not 29, like it was showing on Tinder. And that was just before we met. And I think it's just, being honest, like since the beginning, just say, hey, this is me. This is what I do. This is what I like. This is what I dislike. And go from there, like just being honest since the beginning and appreciate the differences. Like really, like I see a lot of people, seeing differences in their partner and just blaming them and just wanting them to change. But we can't change anybody. Like, you can't just create the expectation that you will make someone else change, because we can only change ourselves. And that's why I think Chris and I have such a beautiful relationship, because we really appreciate each other. We understand each other's difference and we see them as strengths. We actually see them as ways for us to move up and progress faster and move forward in life faster, because we have different strengths and we are all unique, right? So I think it's for someone who is just meeting someone else new, is just really see the good on your partner, appreciate the differences, respect them the way they are. Don't, like, we are so judgmental sometimes. Just like drop that judgment right there in the rubbish bin, because there's too much judgment in the world. We don't need to create more of those. And everything that you don't want other people to do to yourself, just don't project that in other people, right? Like if you would expect to be loved, just show love. If you want to be respected, just show some respect, and just always bring the responsibility to ourselves. And I think things go much better like that.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful. And I really like that you kind of see the other person's differences in personality or whatever as strengths, and that they're really bringing something else to the table.
It would be boring if we were all the same.
Yeah, it would be.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
We don't want that.
So, Chrissy, do you have a tip for us as well?
Yeah, I would definitely say, keep doing the things that are important for you, right? So not wanting to constantly sacrifice you time to spend time with them, which, is easy to do. I remember, when we first started dating, it was constant, wanting to just hang out all the time. But I think it's important, I play basketball. I grew up playing basketball, doing what fills your heart, right? So I love going and seeing my family on my own and with Karen. And I don't need her to constantly come, to my family's place. It's it's all good. I'm happy to spend time with them, and I'm happy for you to come too. So us being able to do things together, but most importantly, being able to do it individually, because I find when I'm my best self on my own, I'm my best self with her. And when I'm my best self on my own, I'm also my best self with my clients, with my family, with my friends. And as Karen said, it all does come back to me. So not sacrificing the things that I love doing, and remembering that, we've got to start with us and keep doing those things we love. Because after a while, if you do sacrifice that, I find you can become resentful and be like, oh, I didn't do that because I wanted to spend time with you. But it's it's so important. Do what's important for you and enjoy those times and make the most of it and schedule it in and make it happen.
Yeah, I love that. Prioritize yourself and your own interests and hobbies and, network. It's
100%.
really important. Ladies, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today and letting us have a bit of a peek behind the curtains of your relationship and how you keep your individual selves fueled up as well as your romantic relationship. To say thank you, we've given a year's worth of seeds to help a family in Malawi grow some food. Basically, they can then grow a crop which they can use to feed themselves and sustain their children day after day. This project is looked after by Every Home Global Concern, and we've been able to do this via our partnership with Buy One, Give One. So thank you so much for making that possible.
Thank you.
Thank
Really
you
appreciate
guys
that.
so much. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
I love that.
So, Karen and Chrissy, if people want to connect with you and learn a little bit more about you and what you do, how should they connect?
Yeah, so as usual, everybody's on Facebook. So Facebook, Karen Rocho, ROCHO, and then I have a coaching, my business page as well, Karen Rocho Coaching on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I am Karen Rocho. Yeah, social media, Facebook and Insta.
Yeah. And then I've got my Facebook, so that's Chrissy Quinn, so Chrissy with a CH and then Quinn. And then also my website, Sequin Consulting, so SEQUIN consulting.com.au.
Perfect. And you've got your next course starting soon.
We do. Middle of January. We're so excited. And we wanted to offer your viewers as well. So because we had our first round, we were doing it for $597, but from 2021, we're increasing it to $997. But we wanted to offer your viewers, if they would like to be part of our next round, we would love to offer them the 2020 rates, because it's all about becoming the unapologetic version of yourself. And I find the most important thing, if you're going to have an unapologetic and authentic relationship, you've got to start with you. If you can be authentically who you are, you can have an authentic relationship. So we would love to offer that to your viewers.
Awesome. How can they tap into that? What's the best way?
So it's on the website. We've got the course details right on there. So they'll be able to find it all if they look at sequinconsulting.com.au.
Perfect.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us, ladies.
Thank you, Sammy
so
and Nathan.
much
We appreciate
for
it.
having
It's been a
us.
pleasure.
Thanks heaps for joining us. If you love what we're doing here and want more, subscribe to the Date Forever podcast to make sure you never miss an ep. Come and hang out with us and other awesome couples who are fueling up their relationships in the Thriving Couples Collective Facebook group, or check us out at fuelcollective.com.au. Until next time, keep on dating, because better relationships equal a better world.